Hi, welcome to Math Movies with Ms. Feuer-Beck and Ms. Veluti. Today we will be converting measurements for capacity using the U.S. standard units. These are the conversions that you'll need to know for today. 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces, 1 pint equals 2 cups, 1 quart equals 2 pints, 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Similar to other measurement lessons that you may have seen, we're going to use the same rules. When you're converting a larger unit to a smaller unit, you'll always multiply. When you're converting a smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to divide. Let's practice those now. Here we have 8 quarts equals a certain amount of pints. So I know that quarts is a larger unit of length compared to a larger unit of capacity compared to pints. So I'm going to need to multiply by the number of pints in a quart, which is 2. So 8 times 2 is 16, and that tells me that 8 quarts equals 16 pints. Down below, I have 12 cups equals some number of pints. When I compare cups and pints, cups is the smaller unit of capacity compared to pints. So in this case, I'll need to divide because I'm going from a smaller unit of measure to a larger unit of measure. I'll be dividing by the number of cups in a pint, which is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So 12 cups equals 6 pints. Here we have 1 3/4 cups equals some number of fluid ounces. Well, if I'm thinking about it, I know that fluid ounces are smaller than cups. So I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, which means I need to multiply. I have to multiply by 8 because there are 8 ounces or fluid ounces in each cup. So I'm going to be multiplying, and the equation I'm multiplying is 1 3/4 times 8. Now you might remember back to the fraction unit, and you might remember that sometimes we split that into parts. So I could say to myself, that's the same thing as 1 times 8 3/4 times 8. And when I add those together, I'll get my answer. 1 times 8 is 8. 3/4 times 8, I can do that in one of two ways. I know that 8 is the same thing as 8 over 1, or 8 wholes, so I can multiply across and get 24/4. When I simplify that, that's the same thing as 6 wholes. So I can add together 8 plus 6, and that gives me a total of 14. If I wasn't sure how to multiply down here, I could have also thought of it as we did in the fraction unit, with this bar being equal to 8, and if I break it into fourths, I know each of those fourths is a value of 2. I'm going to shade in 3 of them, and that's a total of 6. So that's another way of getting that same number 6. Altogether, my final answer is 14 fluid ounces. Next we have 2 gallons equals some number of pints. Now when I look over at my conversion chart, I know that gallons equals some number of quarts, and I know a certain number of quarts equals a certain number of pints, but I don't have the exact conversion for what 1 gallon equals in terms of pints. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of legwork to figure it out. I do know that when I go from gallons to pints, that gallons is a larger unit of measure compared to pints. So I know I'm going to need to multiply, but I have to figure out what am I multiplying by. Let's do a little bit of work here. 1 gallon, if I know what 1 gallon equals in terms of quarts, I can use that to help me figure out how many pints are in a quart. Well, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. I can use the chart above to help me figure that out. Well, let's figure out if 4 quarts equals some number of pints. Each quart is 2 pints. So when I go from here to here, I'll need to multiply by 2. And that means that 4 quarts is equal to 8 pints. So now I have an equation here where I know that 1 gallon equals 8 pints. And I can add that to my conversions. And I can use that to help me solve. So instead of it being a question mark here, it's actually times 8. So 2 times 8 is 16, meaning that 2 gallons equals 16 pints. I hope you learned a lot about converting capacities using U.S. standard units. Thank you.